G'day cocktail lover, what can I get for you? Do you ever make themed cocktails? I always make themed cocktails. Well, it's the anniversary of the plane crash that killed Buddy Holly, Richie Valens and the Big Bopper. Could you make a drink built around that idea? Who was your fave of the three? Let me guess, the glasses, I'm seeing a Buddy Holly fan. So could you make me a Buddy Holly cocktail? That'll be the day. A bartender who used to work here made a Buddy Holly cocktail. Can you make that one for me? It was just a glass filled with crickets, and then he garnished it with a holly decoration from a Christmas tree. He doesn't work here anymore. I think I'd like a cocktail with less crickets. I think you mean to say fewer crickets. To be honest, I mean a cocktail with no crickets. Well, let's use Don McClean for inspiration. We'll go with American Pie as a name for a drink. Well then I guess it needs whiskey and rye. It is what those good old boys were drinking. Let's go with this. I'm going to start with 1 ounce or 30 mils of an American whiskey. You could use a bourbon here. I'm going to go a little different, use this single malt from the Balcones distillery in Texas. Some good old boys made this, but if you wanted to recreate this at home, you could do the whiskey of your choice. Whatever you go with, we're going 30 mils or 1 ounce of whiskey. Now for the rye, there's lots of choices out there. I'm going to use this from the High West distillery in Utah. They call it their double rye. So if we had the same amount, 30 mils of this, we then have our whiskey and rye. For the pie part, I think apple pie seems to be the most American pie, so I'm going to put some apple flavoring. You could use something like an American Applejack, but I'm going to use this apple liqueur because it's sweeter and I think it's going to bring more of that actual apple pie flavor in. Just a little though, I'm going to use ½ ounce or 15 mils of apple liqueur. Because you often put some berries in an apple pie as well, I'm going to put a little bit of berry flavor. There are a lot of berry liqueurs you could choose from. I'm going to use this cassis made by Marionette. It's made with Tasmanian blackcurrants, but there's a whole bunch of things you could choose. But I think just a little of this for the contrast. I'm going to use a bar spoon, about 5 mils of a berry liqueur. The final touch for some apple pie spice-like flavors, I'm going to do 2 dashes of Angostura bitters. This is a stirred cocktail and we want to stir it for a good 20 to 30 seconds at least because this is all booze. You could easily make this straight in the glass, but I'm going to stir this for around 30 seconds and then going to strain that into a rocks glass with a big old chunk of ice. And we're going to make it look fancy, put a maraschino cherry in as a garnish. And there you have your American pie for the day the music died. This is really good. I was going along with the whiskey and rye as part of the gimmick, but they actually play off each other really well. I've made this style of drink before and bourbon works well, but I quite like what the Balcones brings to the whole thing. It's got these really dark molasses and malty flavors, but you could go with whatever you like as the whiskey component. And the fruit elements, they make it sweet, but it's not too sweet. Of course, you can dial those fruit elements up or down depending on your taste, but the berry part, I very much recommend no more than a bar spoon of that goes in. Do you mind if I write down the recipe? I'll make it easy for you. Check out my YouTube channel when you get home. You'll find this recipe and a whole bunch more on there. Oh, you make cocktails on YouTube? Yep, so make sure you check it out. Give the videos a like when you watch them. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I upload a video. And drop me a comment saying hello so I know you were there. It would be great to see you. Do you think you make more Buddy Holly cocktails? Maybe I should do one about when he had his biggest smash hit. Well, when was that? It was February 3rd, 1959. I think it was in a cornfield. Dude, too soon. Too soon for something that happened over 60 years ago. Nah. Too soon is making a joke about how I didn't wash my hands after cleaning the toilets at the start of this shift.